So I've always managed. There was like always a guardian angel watching for me, many, many times. So that moment of betrayal from him, I couldn't forgive him.
This is gonna hurt. It's time for the Suffering Podcast.
I'm going to let you do what you do. So my wife is Jewish. I'm Catholic. I'm a lousy Catholic. So I said, whoever puts the effort in, we'll raise them like that. So in the Jewish religion, at 13, you become a man. The day my kids were conceived with my wife, I did affirmations with them. The day they were conceived, my angels keep me safe and protected. My mommy and daddy love me. I love and protect my brother. I'm a great athlete. I'm a great student. I'm a great friend. I am a super listener. I could do anything I put my mind to. Peace on earth. I'm in perfect health. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better and better. I am a great leader. I love and protect my family. I always tell the truth. I enjoy every minute of my life. Number 17 is I will never fart under the covers. I said, someday your wife or girlfriend's going to thank me about that.
Dutch oven.
So, but we were playing with it, but these things came to me. And the key, and the last one, this is the most important one, besides being grateful, and they had to say something nice about each other because it was like, Daddy's looking at me. Daddy's breathing on me. I said, say something nice about your brother. They had nothing. They were looking in the negative all the time. So what you see is what you're going to get. So Sam is awesome and Matt is cool. The last one was, I will find and live my purpose. Okay. What 13, 14, no, that actually was before that. What 13-year-old is finding and living his purpose? I took one of those topics every night and I would say to them before they went to bed, why does my angels keep me safe and protected? The number one. Well, Dad, if you think like a victim, you'll be a victim. I said, but if you feel safe and protective, you survive plane crashes, nobody mugs you, what's a good friend? Well, a good friend is when you tell somebody, if they're getting in trouble, to stop. I go, what happens if they don't stop? You need to tell an adult to keep them safe. I said, what's the difference between a friend and a snitch? Well, a snitch is when you tell on somebody to get yourself out of trouble, Dad, and that's wrong. On their 13th birthday, when they made their bar mitzvah, I made them do that in the entire room. And I told my wife, all I want to do is give me my moment. When you have that moment and the video's there and the kids are looking at it and it's like, hey, if you're seeing this, I'm not here. Well, I wanted that moment while I was still here. So I made them do this in front of all of their friends and family. There wasn't a dry eye in the place. But what it did is the power of the mind and the power of affirmations and belief. I did it 13 years every night, no matter where I was in the world, traveling and everything.
But
that's how dedicated.
That doesn't come out of nowhere. That comes from bad behavior. And I know you're starting off on a bad road as a child. How bad did it get? Because I know you were probably able to hide under the disguise that, hey, he may be a bad kid, great athlete,
star athlete,
good at everything.
The funny thing is, everybody thought I was a good kid. I was a good kid that did bad things. So for me, it was easy to get away with stuff. In middle school, not middle school, we had junior high school. I missed 63 days of school, but I was only late once. Because if I was late, I turned around and I went to go shoot pool down at Guys and Dolls, and hang out, and my brother, they loved him. My older brother, he was like president of everything in the school and the whole thing. My brother was really good in school. So because I was his brother, I was associated as the good kid. Had my brother been somebody else, I would have been kicked out of school.
I used to do that with my biology teacher. I hated biology, but she loved Notre Dame. It was a nun. She loved Notre Dame. So my homework was to watch Notre Dame football and then go talk to her about Notre Dame.
Master manipulators.
Got an A. Got an A in that class though. And
Didn't know a damn thing about biology, but you knew stats,
Nope.
You knew players, you knew everything.
I knew everything.
So as time went on, that set the basis. And the reason I say that is that hand levitation gave me the power of what the mind can do. When you believe, you can do anything.
So there's a great saying. It says, if you think you can, you're right. And if you think you can't,
you're right.
You're right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the power of the mind, I'm a very, very big believer in the power of the mind. Just what you can talk yourself into and what you can talk yourself out of. You ever meet a true hypochondriac?
Oh, yeah.
A true hypochondriac. I must have, I'm getting a cold and all of a sudden, and they truly believe they're getting sick.
I think that's what happens when I walk in the studio every day.
That's why
I know I'm going to come up here. My nose is going to start running.
That's
time.
why the words are so important, because I knew a guy who would say, that guy's a pain in the ass. He's a pain in the ass. He had hemorrhoids. He really did. So I watch what you say, Now fast forward a little bit. I had a friend whose brother had leukemia. His dad took him to every place all over the world. He was young. He was, much younger than us. And he found a class called the Silva Method of Mind Control. And what they taught him was how to picture Pac-Man.
I know this. It was written in a book, and I can't remember the guy who wrote it, but I read that book.
Jose Silva. He was a electrical engineer that developed the system, and it was a phenomenal class for me. I was 18 when I went into that class. But the reason I say it is you learn the power of the mind. You learn the power of healing. You learn the power of being able to heal others through energy. Like, I'm a big believer in energy. Listen, I'm not religious, but I'm very spiritual. You can call it God, you could call it a higher power, you could call it the universe, but there's something there bigger than us that just keeps order. It's a beautiful thing.
It's a depressing life without it.
Absolutely. And
it's a guideless life without it.
Yeah.
So we have the power of imagination. I don't think turtles have that. I don't think, I think humans are the only ones with the power of imagination. So for me, learning what they did with sending healing energy, because he healed his son, he pictured Pac-Man eating the cancer cells. And, my dad had lymphoma. Okay. We thought he was dead. It was the first cancer word that I ever knew. And what I did with this class, learning the power of, all right, energy is not created or destroyed. It's just rearranged. Everything's a vibration. Energy is a vibration. When you're awake, your sight, sound, smell, it's a very stressful state. 21 cycles per second. You're all over the place. When you go to sleep, you don't hear, you don't see, your body and mind go down to 10 to 14 cycles per second. The earth resonates at 10 cycles per second. Animals, babies, it's where you connect. The key is to learn how to connect to the universe, how to clear your mind, lose your ego, lose all that stuff, and just be. Sometimes you listen, sometimes you project. So what I did is I created movies of the mind. If I told you to just close your eyes and picture a California navel orange, you don't even have to close it. You could see it. And then I say, just peel the rind. Feel how thick the rind is as you're peeling it. Now open it up. The juice is running down your hands. You could smell it. You could almost taste it. Your mouth could start to water. I do that in my mind. I create a picture. So it's a vision board. It's like in the old movie theaters. I created this vision board, this picture, and all I do is project. Now here's the key: desire, belief, and expect. If you truly desire it and believe in it, put it up on that board. See it, live it. That's what helped me get sober. That is the reason why I'm sitting here today, is that vision board, that desire, that belief, that expect drove me. It was crucial. So learning the power of what your mind can do, then learning the power of what you can give. So my dad, because it's my imagination, I'm able to do anything I want. I put him on a lab table, and I have my chair, and I have everything I want. And I would picture him on the table, and I'd picture his lymph nodes, and I'd wire brush them, and I'd put white light on him, and I have lasers, and I have anything I want. And the last thing I did is I give my dad a hug, and I see him running up off the table, happy, smiling, running down the street. What was it? It was the end result. I didn't worry about how to get there. I looked at the end result. So in my business, I created the same thing. Opportunity could be this close, right next to you, not realize it's gone forever. So I created, because it's my imagination, Spider-Man, giant web. So when my gut tells me something, I act on it. It's given me the ability to go beyond my thoughts. So if I look at a roadmap and said, I'm going to go from point A to point B, it may not be the right road for me. So I created this opportunity, and I wait for my teachers to come and show me the way. So I have my eye in the end result. I know I'm going to get there. I just don't know how or when, but I'm going to get there. So all these things came into my life to drive me in that direction.
Well, so it's a good point. And before we get back to really how you went down real hard, first time we ever, we spoke, and like I knew you from just around town and everything, but we're doing a project in my job right by your house, and we came out and spoke. You pulled up next to me, and we just started talking. And I'm like, I can't even remember what you said, but whatever you said made me get out of my car. Get out of my car.
That's something to do with jerk off or anything like that?
No,
I thought I was in trouble.
I get out of my car, and we start talking. We have like a half-hour conversation. I said, and I don't tell people I work. I don't tell people like, hey, I do the show check. I just don't, especially in my professional life. And I'm like, for some reason, I felt drawn to tell you, hey, listen, I do this show and I think you'd be right for it. And that's how that's the fortuitous nature of certain meetings. People are put in your life. I think everything has a meaning. I think everything has a purpose. And that's how it was with you. Now you're going down this bad road in Bloomfield. You're hanging out with bad kids. But you see there's moments.
But let's back up. I don't think there are any bad roads in Bloomfield. You were going down a bad path. They're all nice. They're all nice roads in
some
Bloomfield.
bad roads too. No.
But you're going down this bad path. And what are we talking about? What type of drugs are we talking about?
Well, and I'm sorry to get off that because
no, it's important stuff that you're talking about.
This stuff it took me a long time to wrap my brain around and accept, but going back to the beginning, I was doing everything, Quaaludes, and I was that guy who.
And we're talking what time?
So I'm in high school. Let's now.
What's a year?
It's 19.
Most of the time you can ask a guy that, you can't ask a woman.
I graduated in 78. So we're talking about 76, 7, 8, that around that time period. So, drugs were big. Freebasing was big. Cocaine was big. But I knew everybody. I was that guy that, so talk about being accepted. I was that big kid. And these kids were badass kids. And they come up to me and go, we want you to go in the bar. You got to go in there and get us beer. I'm like, I can't do that. I ain't going to the bar. I'm 15 years old. They said, you go in, I'm going to kick your ass. I said, all right, tell me what you want. So he said, go in and get me a 6 of Bud. So I walk into this little dive joint, reeks of beer. And I walk up and he goes, can I help you, sir? Oh, sir. Yeah, okay. I'll have a 6 of Bud. He goes, cans or bottles? I ran back out. I didn't know what to say. But that was like the start of it, because now I'm a regular. Now I'm getting everybody beer. Then by the time I got to high school, I'm a regular all over the place. I'm a regular in the bar. The drugs kicked in from when I was little. So by the time I got to high school, the cocaine started. And boy, it hooked me. Cocaine was bad. Freebasing was even worse. That was the beginning of the end. So through school, was my best friend. He got popped and he ratted us all out. His cousin was the narc that was planning at our school. We were too stupid to see it. This kid was good. 19 of us got arrested. 19 of us got arrested. 18 of them got kicked out of school. One kid was able to take his tests and in the basement by himself. That was me. They made a new rule for me. I wasn't expelled. I wasn't suspended. I was excluded. Don't ask me how, and don't ask me why. And you can look it up. I just looked it up a couple of weeks ago because I couldn't believe it was true. So I've always managed. There was like always a guardian angel watching for me, many, many times. So that moment of betrayal from him, I couldn't forgive him. Can I talk about?
You can talk about anything you want.
I wanted to kill him. I wanted to kill him because you grew up in Bloomfield. You don't rat your friends out. You're done. That's the worst thing you can do. You deserve to die. So,
snitches get stitches.
So long story short, I'm waiting at his house, and this is another part of the rehab story, but I'm waiting at his house, and I'm waiting to get him. And what I was going to do to him wasn't pretty. I had a doctor involved. I had mirrors up in the Poconos involved, and he was a pretty boy. And
like a Dexter situation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So as he walks by me, I waited 3 hours for him to come by. As he walks by me, I can't move. I feel this weight on my shoulder. I can't move. I can't get him. He goes in the house. I'm like, what the just happened? I believe it was a divine intervention. I think it was the man or my angels holding me down saying, don't do it, son. Don't do it, son. I have so many of those experiences that I can't tell you. That one was monumental. That was a game changer. Fast forward, he rats me out. I don't do anything to him. He had to live with that. So I go into the rehab. I met my wife. I met my wife at the bar. Drugs were really bad. She didn't want any part. She was a Mensa student. She moved up from Tennessee. Brilliant girl, beautiful girl. And everybody at the bar, which by the way, I was a regular at 15. And when I turned 18, they found out I had a big party. They kicked me out. So I wind up going back there. It's where we lived. It was like Cheers. She gets me. And I finally ask her out on it. She didn't want to know anybody. So I'm telling the guys, her brother said she likes to canoe. I say, hey guys, I think I'm going to go canoeing this weekend. I see her ears perk up. She goes, you canoe? I go, yeah, I canoe. So I take her out and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'd never been in a canoe ever before. And so she saved my life. I was out with the mailman 4:00 in the morning doing lines. Okay. And you meet the weirdest people and you become friends. And um, my landlord was a captain of the police force. And here I am outside with 2.5 grams, just doing them to go to bed. My wife is upstairs and I promised her I would stop. She didn't know where I was, what I was doing. I go upstairs and she looks at me and goes, "Where were you?" I said, "I was out with the guys, honey. We're playing cards." "What were you doing?" "Nothing. I swear to God, nothing." She goes, "What were you doing?" Guys, I looked her right in the eye and I said, "I swear to God, honey, I wasn't doing anything." She goes, "Go look in the mirror." And there it was all over my face. So when you say what broke me, what got me into rehab, that got me into rehab. I'm a lot of things, but I'm not a liar. And to look somebody in the eye and lie broke me.
Especially someone you love.
And I came home that next day crying. "I'm sorry. I can't tell you how sorry." And I mean, we had no money. I was in debt. It was bad. I mean, it was really bad. And when I came back the next day, I said, "Look, I'm sorry." I said, "I don't know why I lied to you. I don't know what happened, but I think I need help." She opened a coffee table drawer. She pulls out a phone number. She goes, "I waited 3 years for you to say that." And I went into rehab and I never looked back.
How hard is it though for somebody in the throes of that addiction to ask for help? Like it's very difficult. It's a humble talk about checking your ego. You know, you ask men aren't supposed to ask for help. You know, we don't ask for help. For you to break and ask for help, it had to be one of the lowest points in your life.
It was, I was the biggest shit that was on this planet because I believe in loyalty. I believe in truth. I believe in all of that stuff. And I violated everything I believed in. And even though I didn't know it, it was a core feeling that, it wasn't how much money I lost. I made money. It wasn't who I hurt. I fixed it. It wasn't. But getting into the rehab was a whole other realm. I thought I was going to the country club. And I bring my weights, I bring my stuff. And man, did they humble me. And I remember this big black guy. He was about 6'5". He was a boxer. He had 3 teeth missing. And I had all the answers. I had all the answers. I had Silva. I had positive thinking. I had all the answers. And he stands up. He goes, "Mofo, why don't you take the cotton out your ears and put it in your mouth?" Put it in my mouth. And we fight. But he was right. Shut up and listen. So then they go into telling your deepest, darkest emotion, feeling, something. And it was about me going to kill that kid and what I was going to do. I went into detail of what I was going to do to him. But I've never told a soul that before. And he stands up. I'm crying. Like I'm really crying because you're emotionally a wreck. Everything you thought you knew about yourself is gone. You start from scratch. You don't know what's going on. He comes up. He goes, "Forgive him." Forgive him? We start fighting again. I get sent to my room. But that's the moment I coined a phrase, "Nobody will live rent-free in my head again." And I forgave him and I let it go. And I said, what it must feel like for him to live with that for the rest of his life, that he's got to hang on to that. Forgiveness, that was the next biggest part of my life that changed me. And to this day, 40 years later, on my phone, I get a phone call from him. And I would love to play it for you sometime, but he was adamant about blaming me for what happened. And so finally, I just told him, it's going to work like this. You're going to speak. When you're done, I'm going to speak. And we go into saying, I said, "Kenny, I forgave you a long time ago. I let it go. I have a great life. And I thank you because it was because of you that I'm here now. So you suffered enough. Let it go. Live your life." He started crying, apologizing. "I'm sorry. I didn't know what I would." Next best lesson is to free somebody. Forgive them and say it. And that was the last big amends that had to be made in my life. So I feel free, cleansed.
So there's some things there's some people in my life that I forgive. Like I forgive the guy who shot at me. I totally forgive him. If I saw him, I harbor no ill will. There's a difference. But there's other people I have a hard time, and I've struggled with this. I've struggled with forgiving certain people who have wronged me. And I was talking about this with somebody the other day, and I think the big thing is like when your buddy Kenny ratted you out, he wasn't ratting you out, he was saving himself. So it wasn't
That's right.
You were the person in the way.
Yeah, you were in a way of him saving himself. Exactly.
The guy who shot at me wasn't shooting at Kevin Donaldson. He was shooting at a cop. The other people who have wronged me, and I'm talking about some really bad shit, they were doing it to Kevin Donaldson. So that's my struggle in that, and I'm working on myself daily in order to find that in my heart to forgive, and I'm having a really, really difficult time with it. So the only reason I say that is just to separate. I think it's much harder when the offense is against you personally. Like if somebody hurt Paul Martino just because they don't like you
or your family.
Yeah. So versus you were just in the way of their